We may not have movies in theaters right now, but there were a lot of new releases this weekend. Today I'm talking 3 of those. Let's get into it. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking Sea Fever, The Main Event, and Tigertail. 2 of those movies on Netflix, 1 on demand. We're going to start with Sea Fever. I need you in the comments section. Out of these 3 movies, how many have you watched? Which one was your favorite, your least favorite? And let's get right into this. So, in Sea Fever, the crew of a west of Ireland trawler marooned at sea struggle for their lives against a growing parasite in their water supply. First off, if you guys like these kind of combined review videos, let me know that by smashing that thumbs up button. I will definitely try to do more every weekend. It's a lot of movies, but it's worth it. So this is a sci-fi horror-esque movie that I've actually heard quite a bit about. It premiered at a film festival way back then, and it stars Connie Nielsen and Hermione Corfield, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, who steals the entire show. She is fantastic, and this is a claustrophobic film that focuses on something that I don't think the filmmakers had any idea of how relevant it would be to what we're going through right now. This is the ultimate quarantine movie. Austin, what does that even mean? Well, they are out at sea. They encounter this giant creature that sends this parasite onto this boat. And it's a parasite that apparently has the ability to travel from person to person via a certain thing that I don't want to spoil. Well, because that is the case and everyone on this ship is now exposed, they have to stay put and they have to figure out how they're going to stop this creature once and for all and how they're going to save each other. And while the majority of the crew is saying, okay, we have to get out of here, the only way to survive is if we get help, right? Whereas there is one person, there's always that one person who makes the right decision and says, no guys, we can't, because if we leave, this has the possibility of spreading. And how relevant, I mean, they had no clue that like 20% of the dialogue that they're spouting out in this movie is going to hit everyone like a ton of bricks. And it really doesn't influence or impact my score. It doesn't make me sit back and say, oh, this is a phenomenal film. But it's just funny how relevant it ends up being. In terms of what it was going for, accomplishing this very claustrophobic feeling and very much a combination of what The Thing and Alien brings us as a creature feature in a horror-centric movie with sci-fi elements, it does fall short of those 2 films. But I do believe it accomplished a bit more than I was expecting. It does a good job of giving off the feeling that you want in a film that builds tension and creates these scary situations without having to show too much visually. Yes, every now and then it'll have a bit of gore. Yes, every now and then we'll get a chance to look at what is causing all of this drama, but subtlety is the friend of a movie like this. And I will say, it is a tad bit predictable. Some of the characters are cliche. Some of them I'm sitting back going, why don't you just listen to the smarter people? Like, why do you have to act in this manner? And I get it. That's what the film wanted them to do. I wish they would have scaled back a bit on that and given us a more compelling second act, because that's, I feel like, when the film slows down to a point where it's like, the pacing needs to pick up a bit, but it picks up. I really like where the third act went, what it brought us. It isn't a great movie, and it does fall a tad bit shorter than I wanted it to, but at the end of the day, I did like it more than I expected to, and if you're into a film like Alien or The Thing and you'd like to see something that takes place on a body of water instead of land, Sea Fever is the one for you. I'm going a 65%, and it's freaky. I'll tell you that much. Next up is The Main Event. This is a WWE-produced movie. Now, we did have one of those recently, Fighting With My Family, which I thought was wonderful. One of my favorite movies of last year. I kid you not, it was fantastic. So, for some reason, my anticipation was a bit more than it should have been for The Main Event. And I'll be flat honest with you. I am not the target audience for this film. I feel like WWE fans are going to get more of a treat because of all of the Easter eggs and the cameos and the people that appear and the tropes that they use within this film. But it didn't have the realism, for sure, that a movie like Fighting With My Family had, and it didn't have the magic that it intended to have. It had magic, that's for sure, because after discovering a magical mask, an 11-year-old aspiring wrestler enters a competition to become the next WWE superstar, and for fans of this film, I know it has a very specific tone that it's going for. It is cheesy. It's over the top. It's about an 11-year-old who gets in the ring with 250-pound men and beats the living snot out of them because of a magical mask. It is like Mike with the mask instead of the shoes. And I think kids are going to respond to this. They're going to have a good time. But nothing was realistic. Obviously, that's not realistic. But even the conversations between the kids, even the interactions, this is not the fault of the children. It all comes down to the script. And where this film goes is so ridiculous. It lost me. Now, I expected ridiculous with this concept, right? But they turn it into a superhero movie at points, the things he's doing in the ring, and the fact that no one's really saying anything about it. And then it comes evident to certain people, I'm not going to spoil where the film goes, but that there's an 11-year-old wrestling in the ring with these men. And it's like, no one's going to do anything about this? He's going to die? And no one's... Okay. And it's not even that, right? This is a film that if it knows what it is and it captures that cheese and encapsulates that, then I think it works. But it's so over the top with those elements, and the dialogue is so cringeworthy all throughout the film. I wrote down specific examples, but I started writing so many examples. I'm like, this is going to take up the whole video, and I'm trying to make these shorter reviews. It's going to make it a longer review. I will talk about it more in depth on Letterboxd, but the main event is just ridiculous. But it's not fun ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's going to appeal to kids, absolutely. But for the WWE fans that I think are going to tune into this film wanting more from it, that's who it's going to really disappoint. And nothing against anyone in this film. I think Seth Carr had charisma as Leo. He fit the role very well, and certain actors played their part over the top, but it worked for what they were going for. But at the end of the day, a bad script, and I say this all the time, a bad script can ruin a film, even if it brings us other fun elements. That was the case with the main event. I sadly have to give this film a 30%. Still a 30%, so... you know. Last but not least, Tigertail. So a Taiwanese factory worker leaves his homeland to seek opportunity in America, where he struggles to find connection while balancing family and newfound responsibilities in this multi-generational drama. So I'll start with this. I didn't see a trailer for this film, but I had heard good things about it. Tigertail is a beautifully crafted film where I think its biggest flaw, its most evident flaw, is the fact that it's just too short. An hour and 30 minutes for a multi-generational drama. Now, where this movie goes, I will not reveal how it comes about. The beginning of the third act is where I really saw this film for what it was, and that is a beautiful interweaving story where the director is juggling something that I just didn't anticipate would be the case going into the film, and the fact that the performances are so subtle, yet they tell you so much. These characters tell you so much through the most minor aspects of how they are developed throughout the movie. And I just love the fact that this is all about a guy who wants to better himself by coming to America. He does this for himself, absolutely, but he also does this to support those around him, for his family, for those that he loves. But because of that, he also has to make sacrifices in his own life. One sacrifice in particular that breaks your heart when things start to come back around towards the end of the film, man. And it's a beautiful story. And it's not just a beautiful story, but the way that it's executed, with the beautiful cinematography, with the wonderful score, that at first I was thinking, this is a tad bit repetitive, but then I watched the main event, and that's what a repetitive score is. Tigertail is a family drama. It's all about balancing that with the responsibilities that this new world is going to bring this specific character. And because of that, the reflection that we get from the character of Grover and where his story leads him to personally, but it's also the relationship between he and the other members of his close family. It's a beautiful establishment of these characters. The first shot alone, I'm like, yes, I appreciate what this movie is doing already. I do think it's going to be too slow for some. I also feel as if my original critique, the fact that the story just doesn't have enough time to establish these characters, I believe the way that the narrative intended on them establishing these characters, that's going to be the ultimate fault for a lot of people. And that is actually the case for me. I needed more from almost every aspect of the story. But what I got, I still found high appreciation. And when I say high appreciation, I mean this is by far my favorite movie of the three. I really, really enjoyed Tigertail. Did not quite love it, but I got extremely close, and I'm actually going pretty high with my score. I'm going to 75% for Tigertail. Did not expect to appreciate this movie on the level that I did, but it's one of the best looking and feeling movies I've watched all year. So those are my 3 reviews. Please let me know if you guys like these kinds of videos and which movie was your favorite. Not even out of these 3, just this weekend. Would love to know all of those things in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like these kinds of videos, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. I'm hearing there's a Tiger King episode tomorrow, so if that's the case, that's when I'm going to see you guys next. Appreciate you for watching.